So let me know if this has ever happened to you. You were texting a woman who seemed high interest, on a dating app, or maybe you approached her in person, wherever you met her from. And then she agreed to the date. You guys set up a time and place. The day the date comes, you even follow up with her. She agrees, but 20 to 30 minutes out from the date itself, she ends up flaking on you. Oh, something came up, or sorry, can we reschedule, rain check? We've all have heard it before, even myself. I've been on over 100 first dates, and I can assure you that I've been flaked on. However, through my conquests and through coaching hundreds of other men, I've learned some flake-proof formulas that you can integrate. That way you can reduce your flake rate by at least 30%. Now, before we start, you first have to understand why women flake in the first place. Yes, women are emotional creatures. Yes, women do things based on how they feel in that moment. But I personally have found that it really comes down to 3 reasons. Number 1 is simply going to be attraction. Quite obvious, right? She really wasn't that attracted to you. But in the moment, she perhaps felt curious, or maybe you provided some sort of experience, a nice dinner day, a nice restaurant, maybe going out on a boat, whatever it may be. You offered an experience and she was like, sure. But then the day of the date came and she realized, after looking at your pictures, or even trying to remember how you are from a physical standpoint, she was like, I'm not really excited about this guy. Low attraction, right? Now, number 2, and this is actually going to be the most common one, is comfort. You see, women are emotional creatures, like I said, but guys don't realize that a woman has to feel a sense of safety with you. At the end of the day, you are still a stranger. And this is why a lot of women prefer to, talk for weeks on end before they meet somebody, or at least talk on the phone, because they are scared that they are going to get murdered. They are scared that you're going to Jeffrey Dahmer them. I'm not even joking. Women are terrified. So usually it's a comfort objection or a comfort flake, but they aren't going to express this to you. They're going to say something came up or whatever it may be, but the truth is they're actually just scared. They're actually just nervous. And if you stick with me through this video, I'm going to show you some ways that you can actually overcome this through my flake-proof formula strategy. All right, so number 3, outside of attraction and comfort, is going to be better option. Now, for the most part, depending on what age of woman you're dealing with, the better option is going to be very common alongside with the comfort. Better option simply means that something better happened. You had a date planned on Friday. Today it's Wednesday. Her friends hit her up saying, hey, let's go out for dinner and drinks. She looks at you and like, yeah, I would rather meet with my friends on that Friday. Or, another guy comes along, offers a better experience. You offered her a walk in the park. The other guy offered her a yacht day on the boat. Of course, she's going to take the option that's more fun for her. Now, here's the thing about flakes, though, you got to remember, is that even if they flake on you, they should still be offering some sort of rescheduled time frame if attraction is at play, or if attraction is high. If attraction is medium to low, usually it's going to be like, hey, sorry, can't make it, whatever. They're not going to offer any sort of reschedule. And then that's when it's going to be on you to sort of just like the message or say, okay, no problem, and leave it at that. Don't necessarily try to reschedule different dates with these women who flake on you without any reschedule option. Now that we know why women flake, let's actually get into some tactics that you can use to prevent it from happening in the first place. All right, so I'm gonna write comfort right here because these tactics are really gonna tackle the degree of having comfort with her or building more comfort in that process. And the first thing we're gonna do is leverage Instagram. So I built something called a dating funnel. Now the dating funnel, ideally, you're gonna start from dating apps or even in person and then move her to Instagram instead of number. Now most guys might say, well, shouldn't you give her your number? If she's attracted to you, then she would just take the number. And though that might be the case, the reason why we're actually using Instagram is to subconsciously build a comfort. Because whenever you give an Instagram out instead of a phone number, you are now a real person to her. She can now see you in multiple different contexts. She can see your highlights. She can see who you're following. She sees that you are in fact a human being and not just digits on the screen. And what guys don't realize is that this happens all on a subconscious level. She's not actively telling herself like, oh, okay, this guy's profile is nice or he's a real person. It's her subconscious telling her like, hey, if I were to go out and meet this guy, I could probably feel safe and comfortable because I see that this is a normal human being. So essentially the reason why we're leveraging Instagram as a part of our dating funnel after you meet her on the dating app is for the sole reason to build comfort. In fact, the middle of the funnel, which is essentially Instagram, the whole purpose of the middle of the funnel is comfort alongside with date setup. And you don't set up the date until you know that enough comfort has been built and that she feels safe enough to meet with you. That way, once again, she's not gonna flake on you or she's not gonna have any of these safety objections. Now, another part of the comfort phase is eagerness. So if you go for the date setup way too fast, let's say you sent her 3 messages and you're asking her to come meet you, or if you're asking for her schedule and you haven't built enough comfort, that in itself is gonna sort of signal to her that you are eager and you are in scarcity, and that is repulsive and almost scary to some women, especially the way you come off. And so, yes, you want to set up the date fast. You want to move her through the funnel quickly, but you don't want to do so in a very eager sort of way. So some examples of being eager in terms of your date setup is constantly asking her to meet you or asking her very quickly and multiple times when she's free. That's why you got to have the awareness of the conversation. And, it's going to be individualized per the woman or per the conversation. But usually you can tell, when she's ready to be essentially moved to the next part of the funnel, whether it be middle of the funnel to bottom of the funnel or top of the funnel to middle of the funnel, right? And by the way, I help all my clients with this. And so if you are curious on how I can personally help you learn to text better, maybe see your blind spots when it comes to comfort and date setup, then click the link down below, schedule a free consultation call, and see how I can personally help you out with this. But the point is, we need to avoid eagerness, just simply not being needy. Hopefully we understand this by now. And the way that I go about this too is that I'll go for the date one time. Like I'll ask for the date one time. If she ignores it, goes past it, or whatever it may be, I'm not going to ask immediately after that. I'm going to let some time sort of pass back. Also, this gets into that aspect of double texting, triple texting when she hasn't responded. This is low value because, once again, it's a sign of eagerness, and eagerness essentially lowers comfort, thus makes her sort of on edge about you. Now, another degree that we can build comfort is actually through a FaceTime or a phone call. I think this is perhaps the highest comfort building technique that you can do. And this is primarily going to happen either middle of the funnel or bottom of the funnel. So when I say bottom of the funnel, I'm meaning that she's already agreed to the date, but you still, after talk on the phone for 5 to 10 minutes or FaceTime for 5 to 10 minutes, just so she can get a sense of who you are even more, even though she has already agreed. Now, a way to do this middle of the funnel is that you still want to bring her to Instagram, but you would then move her to the phone number after Instagram, and then you would schedule or just call her randomly even for like 10 minutes. Hopefully she answers, and then you actually set up the date on the call itself. And so through the conversation, it's essentially like you're running a test first date. You're having some quick conversation, you're having small talk. She sees your vibe, she sees your character, she gets a hint of your personality. And for that reason, she's going to be way, way more agreeable and less likely to flake because subconsciously we are building comfort through the essential FaceTime call. Now, one thing I want to mention here is that you want to make sure that you end the call first. So we're going to write that down, end the call first, and no more than 10 minutes. Right? Because if we don't end the call first, and if we go above 10 minutes and just yapping our asses off, we're now moving into the eager / needy / scarcity, low value sort of behavior. All right, so those were essentially for building comfort, which is going to help out a ton. Now let's get into some actual scheduling strategies. And I'll write 1 here, 2 here, and this is going to be the 3-day rule. So the funny thing about dating and sales is that they're almost identical. So if you ever worked a sales job, or if you ever done anything in terms of like prospecting and leads, you will find the parallels between dating and sales are almost identical. And so the thing about sales is that if you schedule some sort of call with somebody, if you go above 4, 5, 6 days out, they're like 50 to 60% more likely to not show up to that call. The reason is because past 3 days, so much can happen. Other opportunities, a loss of interest, they forget about it, so much can happen. And so essentially what we need to do is follow the 3-day rule, meaning that when you schedule the date in the top or middle of the funnel, you're not going any more than 3 days out. And what's also very important for you to know is your actual dating schedule, or when the days you are free. So for example, if you know that you are free on Tuesdays to set first dates, then essentially what you would try to do is schedule your dates Saturday through Monday. Like those are your date setting days. If it's Tuesday, like same day schedules, it can happen if she's really, really high interest, but for the most part, it's not gonna happen. If you schedule a date on Tuesday, but your availability isn't until Sunday, then guess what? Same thing's gonna happen. She's way more likely to flake. And so you just have to be very, very conscious of whenever you're scheduling dates, when you're actually free. This is also when it gets to the date setup part, is that we don't ask her when she's free. We let her know when we're free, and then she tries to fit within our own personal schedule. That's the way it works. And like I said, there's a lot of parallels between dating and sales. And this 3-day rule is pretty much essential for anything in the sales industry, because people know that anything more than 3 days, it just gets wildly unpredictable. Now, of course, in some cases, rare cases, once again, high attraction, you can break this rule. But for the most part, we want to keep it very, very simple. And this is just an easy thing to remember. All right, flake proof formula number 3, and this is the double book, right? What do they say? 2 is better than 1, and 1 is too close to none. And so if you want to prevent flaking, essentially book 2 women on the same day at the same time. Because guess what? There's a high likelihood that one of them probably is going to flake. But you still have another option. As simple as that. And some guys might say, isn't this unethical? Absolutely not. You're working in the benefit of yourself. You are doing what's in the best interest of you and your time. Because guess what? I promise you, and if you date enough women, you know this to be a fact, women do not respect your time whatsoever. And they have no shame about it. And so we're operating and trying to leverage ourselves to be in the best position possible to achieve the dating goals that we want. And sometimes you're gonna have to double book. Now, in terms of who you should pick, yes, you should pick the one that you like the most, but also you should flake on the one who probably has the highest interest. And the reason is, if she has higher interest, she's more likely to actually be okay with rescheduling and seeing you because the attraction is that high. Now, I used to say, and I still believe this to some degree, is that we wanna value compliance over attraction. But the thing about, not flaking on a girl who has really high compliance or who has really high attraction is that the other one is probably going to be a lost lead. And, if you flake on her, she'll probably never see you. And so I found that if we actually flake on the girl who has the highest interest, and then maybe see the one who might have a little bit lower interest, right? And then reschedule the other one, this can put you in a position in which you're setting multiple dates up, and it's fairly easy. Now, the thing about double booking is that obviously it requires volume. And so what I always say is that you need to be having at least 20 top of funnel conversations in order to effectively set 2 to 3 dates per week based on statistics. And so if you don't have volume, this is not going to be a reality for you. Now, how do you get volume? Volume is simply matches and numbers. Top of funnel, as I mentioned before. Attractive pictures through our attractive style, through leveraging our presentation, and just effectively messaging. Like, this is how you get the volume. And so if you are a guy in which this probably sounds impossible for you, or you definitely want help with all of this, then once again, click the link down below. I would love to personally help you out. We've helped plenty of professional guys master their online dating life, going from 1 to 2 matches a week to getting at least 25 to 50 matches a week. Through there, scheduling up multiple dates through the use of online dating, while also fixing their Instagram, all right? So if you're interested, I'm gonna leave the link down below. Hopefully this helps out. It's helped me out a ton. I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Peace.